Hey everyone, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. Today I am going to be doing recent reads number 3 for 2025. So I'll be recapping what I read in May and June of 2025. And yeah, the first 2 recent reads videos for this year will be linked down below if you have not checked them out yet. So go check them out. And yeah, so let's jump right into it. So in May, I ended up reading 13 books. That was a crazy great month for me. So I am so happy with that. And they were all either 4 or 5 stars. So yeah, let's just jump right into them. So first up was, and I don't have, some of these books I have in paperback or in print, but I don't have them with me. So I will be posting the pictures here. Whoops. Phone's moving around. Alright, we'll just leave it like that. Let's try again. Okay, there we go. So, first up I read The Main Attraction by Keller, and I gave this 5 stars. It was so cute, so sweet, and so much fun. I just love Ash's books. They're all short, sweet rom-coms, and this one was lovely. This one was set, obviously, as the title implies, in Maine. And yeah, the heroine runs a home improvement company. And the hero is a hockey player who has just gotten injured that has led to, I believe, his retirement, if I remember correctly. And he's back home in his hometown. And they were sort of frenemies growing up. And yeah, so it was really sweet and really cute and fun. There's renovation of a lighthouse, which is really cool. So yeah, really loved it. And completely clean, no language, kisses only. It was wonderful. Okay, and then I read one of my favorite books of all time, and that was The Designated Date by Drew Taylor. I loved this book so much. It was so powerful, so meaningful to me personally. I don't have words to describe how much I loved it. So this book is about Lucy and Stone. And Lucy is a author. She's a indie romance author. And she also has a job working at a community teen center, recreation center type place that Stone is actually the owner of. And so she's actually his assistant, though she's older than him. She's, I think, 6 years older than him. But yeah, they end up getting into a fake relationship because he is already told his mother and sister that they are dating, because he's kind of had a crush on her for a while, and she's not into him. She's not there. But he accidentally told his mother and sister that they were dating. Oops. So when he has to go home for a family event, he needs a fake date, and it can only be her because he's already told his family that they're dating. So that's where it kicks off. And then it becomes real. And their romance is just, it's incredible. It's swoony. It is, I will say, just as a disclaimer, it's completely closed door. It is Christian fiction. It's completely closed door. But there is intimacy implied outside of marriage. And that becomes a very big part of the book. The redemption story from that, and where does their, how do they get past this? Where does their relationship go from this? And where do each of their individual relationships with God need to go to get to a place where potentially they could have a happily ever after? And just the way, especially Lucy's relationship with Christ, the way it grows and deepens throughout the course of the story, and I just loved it. I just loved it so much. It touched me so deeply, and I applaud Drew for tackling these subjects that are still kind of considered taboo in a lot of Christian fiction. So I highly recommend it. It was not exactly this, obviously not exactly the same subject matter, but it had the same power for me as Redeeming Love did. So if you like Redeeming Love and you want a contemporary that sort of has similar feels, I would recommend this one highly. I mean, I highly recommend it anyway. But yeah, so that was definitely one of my favorite books of the year. And then I read a book that was definitely outside of my comfort zone, and it is called Remember Me by Chelsea Bobulski. I think that's how you pronounce her name. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. And this one I gave 4 stars. I gave the designated date 5 stars. If I didn't say that, I don't remember. But anyways, so Remember Me, I gave 4 stars. This one was really interesting. It's an interesting mashup. It's about this young woman who goes with her father to live at this grand hotel for the summer. And because he was working there, he got a job there. I can't remember what his job was, but he got a job there. Anyway, so they're living there for the summer. And she meets this guy who, on some level, she thinks she knows him, but she doesn't know why. And then we see this other character from 1906, I believe it is. Yeah, I believe it's 1906. So it's like time slip in that. But there are strange, mysterious things, unexplainable things that have gone on in the past and are currently going on at this hotel, resort, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, when I reviewed it on Goodreads, I said that it was like Titanic meets Somewhere in Time with a little bit of The Haunted Mansion and The Shining thrown in. So yeah, it's definitely an outside of my comfort zone thing. It's not really horror. It's speculative. You might consider it fantasy. I don't know. It's really difficult to describe this book without giving away spoilers. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great. It's a romance, of course, and yeah, I thought it was really good. Okay, and then I read The Love Haters by Katherine Center, which is another favorite book of the year. I just ate this one up with a spoon. It was just so good. I mean, I love Katherine Center. This was the 3rd book that I had read by her, so I already knew that I loved her writing, and I was so eagerly anticipating this one, and it was everything and so much more. Oh my goodness. So this stars Katie, I believe her name is. I believe her name is Katie. I think that's right. If it's not, I will correct it down below. But I think her name's Katie. And she works for a company that does video, like documentary type things on people. And so this guy that she works with convinces her to go to Florida and do a story on this guy named Hutch, who is a Coast Guard rescue swimmer who has become very famous for rescuing Jennifer Aniston's dog. And so he's now all over the place. So this guy that she works with is trying to convince her to go there to do an interview with him. Well, it turns out that this guy that's trying to convince her to go there and do an interview with him is actually Hutch's brother. And so they have a strained relationship, so he doesn't want to see him. So there's a whole thing there. Now, part of this, though, is that the person who goes to do this story has to be able to swim, because they are going to be put into a helicopter crash simulator. Now, our heroine cannot swim. She is afraid of the water, deathly afraid of the water. But she says, oh yeah, that's great, that's fine, that's no problem at all. Yeah. You can probably see where this is going. Anyway, we meet Hutch, and he is so great. Like, he is fantastic. He is amazing. I just adore him. I love him to pieces. And yeah, it's fantastic. He has a Great Dane named George Bailey, and he lives on a houseboat. Like, and there's this really great found family of elderly people that are hilarious and delightful. And the ending, you just have to read it because it's so good. It's perfection. It is perfection. It's one of those things where you can like pick up the foreshadowing and know what is coming and be anticipating it, but then it be even better than you were anticipating. That's all I'll say. Yes, Katherine Center's books are all the ones that I've read. And as far as I know, all the other ones are closed door. This one, I would say, was actually less heated than her other books that I've read. It was kissing only, and there were a couple of instances of innuendo, but it wasn't much. I felt like it was actually much less language. She does use very strong language. There are some F-bombs. I do not like that, but I just love her writing. I love her stories. So I'm willing to overlook that. I want you to be aware of that because that may be a deal breaker for you. And if so, that's totally cool. But I just want you to be aware of that. But yeah, love this book so much. Okay. Then I read Serial Burn by Lynette Eason. This is book 3 in her Lake City Heroes series. And yeah, loved it. It was great. This is about Jesslyn. And Jesslyn's family was killed. Well, her family? Yes. Her family was killed in a house fire when she was a child. And it was arson. So she grew up and she became a firefighter. And now she's a fire marshal, I believe, or fire chief, one or the other. I can't remember which. And she is still hunting the arsonist that killed her parents, killed her family. And yeah, so that's kind of the general gist of the story, and it all kind of revolves around that, and there are twists and turns and lots of suspense, as Lynette is known for, and it was great. I give it 5 stars. Loved it. Can't wait for book 4 coming out in August. And then I read The Mobster's Daughter by Rachel Scott McDaniel, and this book was, again, so great. I also gave it 5 stars. Loved it so much. This is about Kate, or Caterina, Caterina Salvestano, and she comes from Italy to Pittsburgh to find her father, because her father has been living there for a number of years and he has dropped off the map. So she comes there to try to find him, and when she gets there, she finds out her father is a mobster, which she was completely unaware of. So she goes into hiding and becomes a singer on the radio, going under the name Kate Chamberlain. So, interesting thing that I learned from this book is in the beginning of radio, they didn't have recordings. People would actually sing and play musical instruments in radio studios. So it was actually live music on the radio at all times. So that's what she does. She sings on the radio. And so then it fast forwards to I think it's 2 years later, and she gets a threatening note, presumably from her father's family. And there's this guy, because of course there's a guy, who is a former police officer, and he's now a private detective, and he ends up working to protect her, not knowing who she is, because her father killed his father. So just a little bit of potential conflict there, but it's so good. It's so good. I love all of Rachel's books that I've read. I still have 2 more and a novella to go, but yeah, love her writing, love her books. The faith content was fabulous. Highly recommend it. And then I read If All Else Sails by Emma St. Clair, and I also gave this one 5 stars. This is her first traditionally published book. It's coming out August 5th or August 14th. I can't remember. It's coming out in August, from Thomas Nelson, and it was lovely. It was sort of enemies to lovers, sort of grumpy sunshine, and it was just delightful. I loved it so much. So we have Josie, who is a school nurse, and Wyatt, who is a hockey player who has a leg injury. and they find this dog that is pictured on the cover here, and they end up going on a sailing trip down the Intercoastal Waterway, and it is wonderful. It's lovely and delightful and everything that I love about Emma St. Clair books, and just completely clean, and I highly recommend it. Okay, and then I read Romance Isn't a Country Song by Madelyn Smith, and I also gave this one 5 stars. This book is delightful. This is about a woman whose name I am drawing a blank on right now. Yeah, I can think of her name. But anyways, she is an author, a romance author, and she wrote a book set in with a Western setting. And she gets a negative review saying that she didn't do her research. So she sets out to do her research. So she books riding lessons at this ranch. Well, it just so happens that the guy who runs the ranch is named Tate, and he is a big fan of her books, and he happens to be the one who wrote that review. So all of this comes out in the opening chapters. So yeah, it's a very sweet romance between the two of them, and he teaches her about horses and about the Western lifestyle, and she's a real city girl, so she comes to appreciate living in the country, and it's just so sweet and cute and funny, and I just loved it so much. Highly recommend it. Then I read Secret or Shutout by Leah Brunner, and I also gave that one 5 stars. And this is the 4th and final book in the DC Eagles hockey series. And I just love this series so much. This is about Bruce, who is the goalie of the DC Eagles hockey team, and Farah. And Farah was introduced in book 3, Betrothal or Breakaway, which is my personal favorite because she is the sister of the team captain, Ford Remington. Now, Farah was married to a real, complete, total jerk who divorced her because she has PCOS and was not able to get pregnant as a result of that. So, yeah, he's great. He's really great. So, when her divorce was finalized, she went out to a bar and she met this guy. And they talked and got to know each other and had a great time together, and then he kisses her, and then they leave. They don't know each other's, they don't get each other's names, they don't get each other's phone numbers, nothing. Then the next day, because she's come there to be the nanny for her brother and his wife, for their little baby girl. She's come to be the nanny for them. So her first day at this job, her brother walks in with his teammate, Bruce, and guess who that is? That's the guy that she kissed that night. Yeah. So that's where the story starts. So obviously there's forbidden love as an element of it, because obviously she's the team captain's sister, so she's off limits, even though she's a grown woman, but you know how that goes. But it's just lovely. It's lovely. And I love the way that Bruce takes care of her. He's so sweet and he's so funny, and it's just lovely. And Farah is so sweet. Like, she is so sweet and caring about other people, and she's so tough. Like, man, she's tough. I'm blown away by her. So yeah, it was lovely. Highly recommend it. So good. And then I read Rift by Stephen James, which is book 1 in a series. I think it's called the Rift trilogy. The other books aren't out yet. And I gave this one 4 stars. This was another one outside of my comfort zone. So this is about a teenage girl whose father gets killed in a car accident because they've gotten in a fight, and she is left the house in the snow, and he went out looking for her, and he ended up crashing into the pond. So that happened prior to the story. So now she has been sent to North Carolina, I think, or Tennessee. No, I think it's Tennessee, to live with her grandmother. And yeah, she is the main character, whose name I'm drawing a blank on. She is a storyteller, and so she has notebooks full of stories. She is consumed with stories in every possible way, shape, or form. And yeah, there are myths and legends and stories in the Appalachian Mountains that might turn out to be true. So it's definitely an interesting kind of story, and the way this one ends will definitely make you want to read the next book. It might be a little bit scary for some people. I don't personally think it's any scarier than Jamie Jo Wright's books. So if you can handle those, except realizing that there may be some otherworldly things in it, like it may not all be able to be explained, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite by him, but I really enjoyed it. Okay, and then I read a Babysitter's Club graphic novel. I read Kristy's Great Idea, which is book 1, and I gave this 5 stars, of course. And I had never actually read this one in any form. I didn't have access to this one when I was growing up, so I had never read it. And I loved it. It was great. It was so much fun to see where it all started, and yeah, loved it. And then I read I Knew He Was Trouble by Amanda Schimmoeller, and I gave this one 4 stars because I really, really enjoyed it. It was really great. It was an enemies to lovers story, and the hero is a doctor, pediatrician. This has one of the best he takes care of her scenes, so if that's a trope that you like, this one was great. Loved it so much. Okay, and then on to June, because I gotta speed things up here because I've already been talking for over 20 minutes, so we gotta speed things up. So in June, I only read 7 books. Well, technically 8, but I can't talk about the 8th one because the 8th one was a beta read for a dear friend who might be named Bethany Turner, but I can't give any information about that book yet other than to say it was chef's kiss, phenomenal, 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. So be watching for that one soon, hopefully. We'll see. Okay, so the first book was The One with the Kiss Cam by Cindy Steele, and I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I just didn't absolutely love it. I had some issues with it, and it just wasn't quite a favorite for me. So yeah, it was only 4 stars, unfortunately. So this is about Nora and Duke. And Nora and Duke meet at a basketball game. Nora's actually on a blind date with another guy who is a total jerk. And Duke happens to be sitting next to her when the guy gets up to get food, the guy that Nora's on a date with. And so Nora and Duke get caught on the kiss cam. So this happens like 3 times or something. So they finally figure out, well, they're not going to leave us alone unless we kiss. So they kiss. And then they leave together and they go to dinner, and they spend the evening talking, and then he drops her off at home. And a few days later, she moves away to Wyoming, I believe, and he doesn't see her again. And then 3 years pass, and she is back in town. And yeah, they reconnect. Their story goes from there. And yeah, it was really sweet, really cute. I love Cindy Steele's writing, completely clean. But yeah, it just wasn't quite a favorite for me personally. And then I read Hello Stranger by Katherine Center. And this book was 5 stars. I loved this book so much. So this book is about a portrait artist who gets facial blindness. And that's what I'm going to say because I cannot pronounce the actual name of it. Forgive me. But it's this thing where she loses the ability to recognize faces. Faces are like, when she looks at somebody's face, like all of the facial features are there, but they're not in the right order, the way she describes it, so that it's like looking at like a Picasso painting or something, that it doesn't, so she can't recognize anyone's face at that point. And so this is a little tricky for someone who is a portrait artist, and she has just gotten an opportunity to participate in this highly prestigious competition. And yeah, she now can no longer see people's faces. So how is this going to work? So yeah, so she meets these two guys. One guy lives in her building, and at first she doesn't think very highly of him, but then they kind of get to know each other and become friends. And then she ends up having an emergency with her dog, which is basically her best friend, and takes him to this vet, and yeah, meets the vet, who is pretty great also. And yeah, so there's maybe a love triangle, maybe not. Who's to say? It could go either way. You'll have to read the book to find out. But it was really great. And I love the way Katherine Center puts twists into her books. And I just have to say, I was kind of at 4 stars. I was kind of feeling like 4 stars for this book, almost all the way through. But partway through, it occurred to me, I think I know what the twist is of this one. And if the twist is what I think it is, this will be a 5-star book. Well, I won't tell you the twist because I'm not going to spoil it. But suffice it to say, yes, I was correct about the twist. And yes, that did make it a 5-star book. So highly recommend it. Again, all of Katherine Center's books have strong language. There's some innuendo. This one did have a makeout scene on a bed, but they get interrupted before it gets spicy at all. So it's, in my opinion, completely clean. And that's all I remember as far as content otherwise. Okay, and then I read Perfectly Wedded by Grace Worthington. This was my first book by her, and I loved it. So this is a hockey romance, marriage of convenience, and yeah, loved it. It was so great, just lovely. I listened to the audiobook of that one, and it was 5 stars as well. And then I read The Serendipity by Emma St. Clair, and this is book 1 in the Only Magic in the Building series, and this one was delightful as well. So this is about Willa, who is a cookie baker / decorator, and she lives in this building called the Serendipity. And the guy is Archer, who is a billionaire who has just bought the Serendipity. And they meet. Their meet cute happens when Willa goes into her closet and accidentally ends up in Archer's closet, which happens to be on the other side of the building and on a different floor from Willa's apartment. So that's how the magical realism element of the building comes in this story. And the story is just so fun. I just loved it. I thought it was great. I really loved it. Probably not my favorite Emma St. Clair book, but definitely still a 5-star read for me. And then I read Once Upon a Boyband by Jenny Proctor, and I gave this one 4 stars. So this is the first in a series that I cannot remember the series title, but it's the first in the series anyway. It's the only one that's out so far. And I really, really enjoyed this one. So this one is about, I forget her name too. Evie, maybe? Maybe Evie? No, I don't think that's right. I don't know. Anyway, the girl here is a veterinarian, and she meets this guy named Adam who runs a dog rescue. And so he brings his dogs to her vet clinic to take care of them. Well, there was a band when she was in high school that she was obsessed with, a boy band called Midnight Rush. And her favorite member of the band was a guy named Deke Driscoll. Well, what she doesn't know is this guy named Adam that she really likes, his full name is Adam Deke Driscoll. And yes, he is that Deke. So, the band broke up when he was 18. It was kind of because of him that the band broke up. Yeah, so this story is really great. I loved what happened when she found out who he was. Like, I loved the way that came about, and I loved what happened from then on. And the story was really great. It didn't quite give me like the 5-star feeling that I had been expecting from it, so I was kind of disappointed about that. But I did still really, really, really enjoy it and really would recommend it highly. There was some language in it, I believe, some innuendo. It was kisses only, and just something to be aware of. It didn't bother me personally at all, but just something I want you to be aware of. The heroine does have a gay best friend that also works there at the clinic with her. So there are some references made to that. He doesn't like have a relationship in the story or anything, but there are some references made to that. So again, like I said, that kind of thing doesn't bother me personally, but I just want you to be aware of that if that would be bothersome to you. Okay, and then I read Kristy by Katherine Marshall, and I buddy read this with the amazing Alma from Alma's Book Journey, and we both absolutely love this book. I will say the ending, the last page of the book was probably my favorite part of the book. Probably was my favorite part of the whole book. Although I did feel like it was a little bit abrupt, like it ended very quickly. Like there was a build up and all this tension that had been building up for nearly 500 pages, and then it felt like it ended really abruptly. So I would have loved an epilogue, but it's not there. Whatever, you know, it's fine. This book, God spoke to my heart through this book numerous times. Like I cannot even tell you how many times I was struggling with something, or I was, you know, questions were floating around in my brain, and I would read this book, because Alma and I read this book in June, 2 chapters per day. So we finished like in the 3rd week of June. And every time, like every single day, I would be like struggling with questions in my own mind and my own heart. And then I would open up this book and I would read it, and God would answer those questions, those things that I was struggling with. The answer would pop up in that book. And it just blew me away every time. So I highly, highly recommend it. It's a very powerful, moving, deep story. There's a lot of craziness that happens. There's a lot of trauma that happens. There are a lot of very sad, heartbreaking things that happen. So be aware of that. But if you like books like that and very powerful, timeless books, I mean, it's obvious why this book has an award named after it, because it is truly excellence in Christian fiction. It's phenomenal. So highly recommend that one. And then the last book that I read in June was The Powerful Purpose of Introverts by Holly Girth. And so this is a Christian nonfiction book. I rated it 5 stars. I loved it so much. I am an introvert, and this book touched me deeply. I learned so much from it. I already want to reread it because I got so much out of it, and it's so dense. There's so much information. It's not even quite 200 pages long, but there's so much information in it, and it just touched me. It just touched me so much. So I would highly recommend it if you are an introvert. I would highly, highly recommend that you read it. But even if you're not, if you know anyone and love anyone who is an introvert, if you're an extrovert and you know someone who is an introvert, please read this book as well, because it will definitely help you to understand them so much more. So that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to hear about one of your favorite books that you read in May and June. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.